Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a tornado touches down in one southern Kentucky county. We'll show you the damage. And student loan borrowers are wondering what's next after the Supreme Court struck down the president's loan forgiveness plan.
Plus, we're finally settling things down as we head into this holiday week. The very latest coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The reward for information leading to arrests in this weekend's deadly mass shooting in Baltimore is now up to $28,000. 2 people were killed and at least 28 others injured when gunfire erupted during a block party early yesterday morning. Authorities say a few people are believed responsible. Now, we want to warn you, some of the footage in this story may be disturbing. CBS's Willie James Inman reports from Washington.
Law enforcement officials tell CBS News there is concern that Sunday's mass shooting at a block party in the Brooklyn section of Baltimore will trigger a retaliatory attack and a new cycle of gun violence.
We are doing everything in our power to ensure that the horrific violence that occurred this weekend is not repeated either in Brooklyn or any other neighborhood across Baltimore.
Surveillance video shows a crowd filled with teenagers and young adults running for their lives as a spray of gunfire hit 30 people.
People were running everywhere, people were crying, people were out of breath.
Police announced the reward is now up to $28,000 for information leading to the arrest of those responsible for killing 20-year-old Kylis Fabemi and 18-year-old Aaliyah Gonzalez.
I strongly urge anyone with any information to help us bring these individuals to justice.
More than a dozen of the wounded are minors, the youngest 13 years old. There have been nearly 130 homicides in Baltimore so far this year. The mayor says that's a 20% drop from last year. Willie James Inman, CBS News.
The Gun Violence Archive says there have been 340 mass shootings across the United States so far this year. At this pace, the U.S. is on track to mark the second highest total in the last 9 years.
Finally getting those strong storms on out of here after a long week and a long weekend for many. And I'm not talking about folks that maybe took today and tomorrow off for the holiday. We continue to see plenty of sunshine out there throughout the region. Just fair weather clouds up UVA-wise, upper 70s to near 80. A few more of those clouds trying to billow up a little bit more from the Pikeville Medical Center camera. 82 out there, but the sun is out. It is warm and it is muggy, mid to even upper 80s in parts of the Cumberland Valley, 84 into portions of Pulaski and Pulaski and Laurel counties, upper 80s. Jacksboro up to Middlesboro and Harlan. Factor in the humidity and it feels closer to 90 to 95 in many locations. So we're going to be dealing with the heat as we head through the next couple of days. Watching a couple of downpours still pushing through parts of Logan and Mingo counties. A few more trying to push into portions of Menifee and Morgan counties over the next little bit. But so far so good for many of us. Not a whole lot today. In fact, the last of it's continuing to kind of push on out. So as we head through your next 12 hours, we're looking at those temperatures only falling into the upper 60s. It is that midsummer forecast out there. Steve, I'll have the very latest on when we see perhaps a return to a few more showers and storms in a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you. Severe storms knocked down trees and power lines across the state yesterday. A tornado also caused some of that damage. Part of a home in Casey County in southern Kentucky was hit hard. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to a homeowner cleaning up, but counting their blessings.
A tornado warning was issued Sunday that Albert Buck and his family say they took very seriously.
As I come back through my living room, all my porch furniture on the back porch started blowing away, and I started hearing metal ripping, and I took off and got in the basement with my wife and kids.
A big part of his roof is gone. It was taken off and blown in several different directions. There's also damage to the side of the home. It was confirmed as an EF1 tornado. Winds of about 105 miles an hour.
You see the insulation, but we also see how some of the backside rotation, the winds coming around the backside, caused some damage up here on the garage. You can actually see some of the insulation sort of splattered against the wall there.
There was a lot of damage in places, not so much in others. Take this swing set, for example, where the flimsy tent above wasn't even touched. but the swing set right beside it was knocked down completely. None of his neighbors had much damage. One woman said all she lost was a shutter.
Just thank God we was all right, because I can rebuild the house back. It ain't no big deal as far as the house goes. I mean, my wife, my kids, and myself was okay. That was the most important part.
The home is just 3 years old, but it will need a new roof and a lot of remodeling and repairs.
It all went into the basement as well. It damaged the upstairs. We've water damaged in our kitchen cabinets, all the flooring. Our doors are swelling. Just a bunch of water damage that we're going to have to get it dried out.
Remarkably, none of the windows broke. All of that water came through the roof. In Casey County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Casey County emergency management officials say they had no injuries reported to them, and other than this one house, most of the other issues dealt with downed trees. Kentucky was not the only state to receive storm damage this past weekend. A severe storm in central Alabama caused power outages, fallen trees, and wind damage yesterday. An oak tree fell on one home in Gadsden, Alabama, about 55 miles northeast of Birmingham, hitting the roof and smashing a nearby car. On a nearby highway, a local shaved ice business had its roof blown off. Nearby Pell City reported almost 3 inches of rainfall within 1 hour. Authorities are investigating a deadly officer-involved shooting at a hospital in Indiana overnight. State police say City Police Sergeant Heather Glenn was killed during a shootout outside Perry County Memorial Hospital. The suspect, Sean Hubert, was also killed. Troopers say Hubert went to the hospital because a woman he had reportedly been in a domestic fight with was getting treated there. After Glenn used a stun gun on Hubert that was not effective, troopers say Hubert pulled out a gun and shot Glenn. The Secret Service says a device found near the White House has been deemed non-hazardous. This comes after areas around the building were evacuated yesterday. Agents say they saw the unknown item on the ground. The agency says the evacuation was done just as a precaution. At this point, officials have not said what it was or if anyone was arrested. President Biden was not at the White House at the time of the incident. South Carolina authorities have arrested a man in connection to an incident that left 6 people dead and 1 in serious condition. The Colleton County Sheriff's Office responded to a house fire Sunday morning. 1 person found at the scene was taken to a local hospital in critical condition, but 6 bodies were also found. Investigators say a man was taken into custody for the reported attempted murder of the victim taken to the hospital. Officials say he may face additional charges pending further investigation into the incident. AAA is expecting at least 50 million people to hit the roads or skies for the 4th of July holiday. Summer gas prices are well below what they were a year ago, which is why AAA predicts a record number of vehicles on the road. They say it is crucial to note that if you are driving and you see a first responder vehicle or a tow truck with their hazard lights on, make sure to give them space. The company says if you are planning to fly anywhere, make sure you download your airline's app and have their number on speed dial. Getting room service might take a little longer than usual for some travelers in California this July 4th. Roughly 15,000 employees at 65 major hotels in the Los Angeles area walked off the job Sunday and are on strike. That includes front desk staff, housekeepers, and kitchen workers. The union representing the workers says they have been in talks since April. Issues include an immediate $5 per hour raise, better health care, and retirement benefits. President Biden says he intends to pursue a new student loan forgiveness plan. That's after the Supreme Court delivered a crushing blow last week to his original attempt to cancel massive student debt. The first loan payments since the pandemic will be due this fall, leaving potentially millions of people in the lurch. CBS's Natalie Brand reports on what borrowers can expect.
No justice! Student borrowers who protested the Supreme Court's decision Friday to strike down President Biden's loan forgiveness plan.
We will never, ever, ever stop.
Are now wondering what's next as payments are poised to resume in October.
It's frustrating to know that in another month or two, I'm going to have an additional $500 to pay. It's tough.
The Biden administration now wants to use a law first passed in 1965, the Higher Education Act, to move forward with a new plan. But it warns that process could take more time. Isa Conchola Bañez of the Student Borrower Protection Center says it could take from several months to a year.
There will be kind of a process to bring together experts and get public comment and essentially establish the contours of a new cancellation program.
In the meantime, she says borrowers should make sure their information is up to date with the Department of Education and their loan servicers. And keep an eye out in case you are eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program or income-driven repayment plans.
There are other opportunities to see debt cancellation while we are continuing to fight to see, this broader debt cancellation.
President Biden says borrowers who cannot begin making payments this fall will not face default or be reported to credit bureaus or debt collection agencies for 1 year. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And borrowers beware, do not fall for scams. Experts emphasize the Department of Education servicers will not be calling you by phone and asking for your Social Security number. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, if you're older than 50, the time to check how much you're putting in your 401k is now. Why changes to federal regulations can help you better prepare for retirement.
And we're staying toasty but finally drying out for a bit this week. The very latest coming up after this.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized to the